I am Naomi Carter, and I was 35 years old when my husband unknowingly gave me the most important choice of my life. Looking back now, I realize that moment didn't destroy my marriage. It exposed the truth that had been hiding beneath it for years. At the time, I believed I was fighting to save my family. I didn't realize I was also fighting to save myself. Before I continue, if you enjoy heartfelt family stories about courage, resilience, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another inspiring story. Your support truly means the world and helps us bring you more unforgettable stories every week. I had been married to Ethan for 7 years. Together we were raising our 4-year-old daughter Lily, who had become the brightest part of my life. Ethan was dependable in many ways. He worked hard, paid the bills on time, and adored our daughter. Anyone looking from the outside would have described him as a wonderful husband. But there was one problem that overshadowed everything else. Whenever his family became involved, my husband stopped being my partner and transformed into their loyal defender. His mother believed she had the right to comment on every decision I made. Whether it was the meals I prepared, the clothes I bought, the way I disciplined Lily, or even the curtains hanging in our living room, nothing escaped her criticism. For years I convinced myself that patience was the answer. Whenever I complained, Ethan would smile awkwardly and say the same sentence. "That's just how Mom is." Eventually those words became more painful than the criticism itself. Every holiday followed the same pattern. I would arrive hopeful. Someone would make a hurtful remark. Everyone would laugh. I would stay silent. Then Ethan would ask me to let it go. One Saturday afternoon his parents hosted a large family picnic at their beautiful home outside Portland, Oregon. Nearly 40 relatives gathered in the backyard while children played games across the lawn. Lily sat beside me eating slices of watermelon when Ethan's mother walked over carrying a plate filled with candy. She frowned when she noticed Lily's snack. "Still avoiding sweets?" she asked. I smiled politely. "Our pediatrician suggested we keep sugar limited for now." She laughed loudly enough for nearby relatives to hear. Doctors worry too much these days. Before I could respond, Ethan's younger sister, Vanessa, joined us. "Oh, Naomi always finds some new parenting trend online." Several relatives chuckled. I felt my face grow warm. Normally I would have ignored it. But Lily looked up at me with curious eyes. She was listening. I didn't want my daughter growing up believing that kindness meant accepting disrespect. So I calmly answered, "I don't think following professional medical advice is something to make fun of." The laughter stopped. Vanessa folded her arms. "There you go again." I looked directly at her. "There I go doing what? Being disrespectful." The word stunned me. Disrespectful. Simply because I defended myself. Within moments more relatives joined the conversation. Suddenly everyone had an opinion. Someone said I was too sensitive. Someone else claimed I never appreciated family traditions. Another insisted I was creating unnecessary drama. I searched for Ethan. He was only a few feet away. Surely he would speak. Surely he would remind everyone that this wasn't fair. Is it? He remained silent. That silence hurt far more than every insult combined. I realized I had spent years hoping he would become the husband I needed whenever his family crossed the line. But hope wasn't changing reality. When Vanessa joked that I always ruin family gatherings, something inside me finally broke. I didn't shout. I didn't insult anyone. I simply told the truth. I explained that years of constant criticism had become exhausting. I admitted I felt isolated every time we gathered. I confessed that I no longer wanted Lily growing up believing this treatment was normal. The backyard fell completely silent. Every eye turned toward me. Then Ethan slowly stood up. His face was filled with embarrassment and frustration. "Naomi," he said quietly, "stop talking." I met his eyes. For the first time in 7 years. I answered with one word. "No." Naomi tightened her grip on Lily's hand before calmly turning toward the driveway. No one tried to stop her. The gathering remained frozen in silence as she walked away with her daughter beside her. She didn't look back. Only after fastening Lily into her car seat did she allow herself to breathe. "Mommy," Lily asked softly, "are you sad?" Naomi smiled through tears. "A little. Did I do something wrong?" Her heart ached. She leaned over and kissed her daughter's forehead. "You did absolutely nothing wrong. Sometimes grown-ups have to make difficult choices so children can grow up in a happier place." Lily nodded, satisfied with the answer. The drive home was quiet. Instead of replaying the argument, Naomi found herself remembering dozens of smaller moments from the past 7 years. The jokes at her expense. The constant criticism. The holidays she spent trying to please people who had already decided she would never be enough. By the time she reached home, she knew something inside her had changed forever. That evening Ethan returned from the gathering looking exhausted. He walked into the kitchen expecting another argument. Instead, he found Naomi calmly preparing Lily's bedtime routine. "We need to talk," he said. "We do." He hesitated. "My family thinks you embarrassed everyone." Naomi looked directly at him. "And what do you think?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again. For several seconds he couldn't answer. That silence spoke louder than words. "You watched them criticize me," Naomi said quietly. "You watched them do it again. I didn't want things to get worse. They already were." Ethan rubbed his temples. "I just wanted everyone to get along." "No," Naomi replied gently. "You wanted me to keep absorbing the hurt so everyone else could stay comfortable." The words lingered between them. Neither spoke for several minutes. Finally Naomi continued. "I've scheduled an appointment with a marriage counselor." Ethan looked surprised. "You still want to work on us? I want to know whether there's anything left worth saving." He nodded slowly. "I'll go." Over the next several weeks they attended counseling together. For the first time, Ethan heard someone outside his family describe what had been happening. The counselor asked questions Ethan had never considered. Why was Naomi always expected to apologize? Why were his family's feelings protected while his wife's were dismissed? Why had he mistaken avoiding conflict for keeping peace? Those conversations weren't easy. Some sessions ended in silence. Others ended in tears. But slowly, Ethan began recognizing patterns he had overlooked his entire life. He realized his mother had always expected agreement. His sister had learned to mock anyone who challenged her. And he had spent years believing loyalty meant never questioning them. One evening after counseling, Ethan admitted something that stunned Naomi. "I don't think I ever realized how lonely you've been." She didn't answer immediately. Instead she whispered, "I stopped trying to explain because I thought you would never hear me." He lowered his eyes. "I'm hearing you now." For the first time in years she believed he meant it. But trust wasn't something that returned overnight. It had been damaged over many years. It would require time, honesty, and consistent actions to rebuild. Naomi decided not to make promises. Instead she watched what Ethan actually did. Weeks later his parents invited them to another family dinner. Ethan looked at the invitation, then looked at Naomi. "If you're not comfortable going, we'll decline." She searched his face. There was no pressure, no guilt, just respect. It was a small moment, but somehow it meant everything. Naomi realized change wasn't measured by dramatic speeches. It was measured by everyday choices. Choices to listen. Choices to protect each other. Choices to place a marriage before extended family expectations. Whether those choices would be enough remained uncertain. But for the first time in a very long time, both of them were finally walking in the same direction. The following months tested both Naomi and Ethan in ways neither of them had expected. Change did not happen overnight. There were difficult conversations, uncomfortable silences, and moments when old habits tried to return. But every time those moments appeared, Ethan made a different choice. One afternoon his mother called and criticized Naomi for missing another family gathering. Instead of asking Naomi to apologize, Ethan calmly replied, "Mom, Naomi deserves the same respect that every member of this family expects for themselves. If we can't have that, we won't be attending." His mother hung up. It was the first time in his life he had refused to give in simply to avoid conflict. When he told Naomi what had happened, she didn't celebrate. She simply thanked him. Trust wasn't rebuilt through grand gestures. It was rebuilt through consistency. As the weeks passed, Lily noticed the difference before anyone else. Her parents laughed together more often. Their home became quieter. There were fewer tense evenings and no whispered arguments after bedtime. One evening Lily looked up from her coloring book and smiled. "I like it when everyone is happy." Those simple words reminded Naomi why she had refused to remain silent. Children learn about love by watching the adults around them. She wanted her daughter to grow up believing respect was a foundation of every healthy relationship, not a reward earned by staying quiet. Several months later, Ethan's parents asked to meet. Naomi agreed, but only in a public place and only after making it clear that respectful conversation was the only reason she was coming. The meeting was awkward at first. There were long pauses. There were moments when old attitudes almost resurfaced. Then Ethan's mother surprised everyone. "I spent a long time blaming you," she admitted. "But I've had to admit that I rarely listened to how my words affected you." Naomi listened without interrupting. His sister Vanessa spoke next. "I thought teasing was harmless. Looking back, I can see it wasn't. Neither apology erased the past. Neither apology fixed every wound. But they were honest. And honesty created the possibility of something better." Over time, the family slowly rebuilt their relationships. Some boundaries remained firmly in place. Naomi no longer tolerated personal criticism disguised as jokes. Family visits became shorter. Everyone understood that respect was no longer optional. Years later, when Lily was old enough to understand, she asked her mother why things had changed. Naomi smiled gently. "Because sometimes loving your family also means teaching them how to treat you." Lily thought about that for a moment before nodding. "I'll remember that." Naomi hoped she would. Looking back, she realized the turning point hadn't been the argument itself. It had been the decision to value her own dignity. Standing up for herself hadn't destroyed her marriage. It had forced everyone involved to confront truths they had ignored for years. Some relationships became stronger. Others became more distant. But every relationship became healthier because clear boundaries finally existed. Naomi learned that peace built on silence never lasts. Real peace is built on honesty, mutual respect, and the courage to say, enough, when enough truly is enough. That lesson became one of the greatest gifts she could ever give her daughter. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment letting us know where you're watching from, and subscribe for more inspiring stories about courage, family, and second chances. Thank you for spending your time with us, and we'll see you in the next story.